Welcome. This is the SDSFIE-V Gold Model, Versioning, and Adaptations, a quick clips video resource for SDSFIE training. This training resource is designed for all users who want to learn about versions of gold models and adaptations within the SDSFIE vector standard. There are no prerequisites for this webinar. The overall goal for our training resources is that all SDSFIE users understand the purpose, structure, and parts of the SDSFIE family of standards or standards framework and how to implement those standards. The specific objectives for this presentation are that the audience gains an understanding of the following: the SDSFIE-V Gold Model, its versioning and naming rules, and the relationship of the versioning to its change management process, and adaptations of the SDSFIE-V Gold Model by DoD Components. SDSFIE-V is a content standard for vector geospatial data. SDSFIE-V provides a shared, standardized schema for the types of geospatial entities and their characteristics, or attributes, which are used in Installation Geospatial Information and Services, or IGINS, and Civil Works missions throughout the DoD. To be clear, a content standard does not in and of itself contain any data records. Rather, as a consensus data content standard, it provides an agreed-upon structure for the database containers that hold actual data records. This is analogous to a set of spreadsheets, each with well-defined and agreed-upon column headings, but without any values populating the rows. SDSFIE-V Gold is the enterprise-level, versioned data model that contains core elements, entities, attributes, and pick lists that are defined through a consensus process involving subject matter experts representing all IGINS Governance Group, or IG, components. These include the 4 Armed Service Branches, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Washington Headquarters Service. Each IG component is required to build their own version, or adaptation, of the Consensus Gold Model. These adaptations are tailored to component-specific business requirements and systems. The SDSFIE Vector Implementation Guidance, or SVIG document, is the rule book for creating, versioning, and naming our vector gold model and the component adaptations, as well as the submittal requirements and review and approval processes. The SVIG specifies the model elements and their relationships, entities, attributes, and pick lists or enumerations for some of the attributes, properties common to all types of elements, and properties unique to each type of element. Additionally, the SVIG provides best practices for element naming. Each version of the SVIG corresponds to a major release of the Gold Model. A new version of the SVIG, version 5, was recently approved by the IG and is being used in the development of SDSFIE-V Gold version 5.0. The Consensus Gold Model was mandated for component use on February 9, 2016. Components are afforded flexibility through an adaptation process that follows SVIG rules. This process consists of profiling, extending, and changing the elements of the Gold Model to create a component adaptation. In this diagram, the Gold Model has 6 entities, each represented by a dark rectangle. Each of those 6 entities contain attributes, and some of those attributes may be constrained by an enumeration, which in turn contains a pick list of enumerant values. For components, the basis model for a new headquarters adaptation will typically be the most recent version of SDSFIE-V Gold. In cases of doing a simpler adaptation upgrade, the component's previous headquarters adaptation serves as the basis model. The first step in the process is to selectively remove or profile elements from the Gold Model. The next step in this process is to extend the intermediate model by adding elements that do not exist in the basis Gold Model. In the end, the adaptation contains 1 unaltered entity, 2 altered entities, and 1 brand new entity. While not depicted in this diagram, components may customize their model through a number of allowable change actions specified in the SFIE-V. For example, changing an alias name or augmenting a note or description in any type of element. All of the 3 main steps of the adaptation process specified in the SFIE-V, profile, extend, and change, allow a component the flexibility to shape the gold model to meet its unique mission requirements, while maintaining the consistency that ensures interoperability with the data from other components. The SDSFIE governance plan, which guides the activities of the IG, includes the multi-step change management process, or CMP, depicted here. The CMP is used for the maintenance of all aspects of SDSFIE, including data models like gold. 1 or more changes, such as modification of an entity name or definition, travel together through the CMP steps in a container or envelope called a change request or CR. The SFIE-V defines 3 levels of interoperability impact on the lateral and vertical sharing of SDSFIE-V compliant data: major, minor, and core agendum. In the CMP, each change is categorized accordingly. Once a CR passes an IG vote, the changes get implemented in the next applicable version of the gold model. For example, the first core agendum release of the 4.0 gold model included all core agendum level changes that were approved subsequent to the 4.0 model release. The upcoming 5.0 model will include all changes approved by the time of its release. This graphic depicts the hierarchy of models starting with the mandated 4.0 gold. Major releases are distinguished by the digit to the left of the first period, like 4.0 or 5.0. Minor releases are distinguished by the second digit, and core agendum releases by the third, like 4.0.1 or 4.0.5. The SFIE-V stipulates that the component adaptations use these core agendum releases as the basis model, or a model with all the applicable and approved minor and major changes as well. SFIE-V rules hold that the release version name is carried over into the adaptation name, like the Army 4.0.2 model being based on SDSFIE-V 4.0.2. When components make small changes to their primary adaptation, they add a 4th digit to distinguish these upgrades, such as the USACE 4.0.5.1 model. This concludes the SDSFIE-V Gold Model, Versioning, and Adaptations, a quick clips video training resource. If you want to learn more about the Vector Standard, SDSFIE at a high level, SDSFIE governance and use, more on the Model Viewer tool, or other detailed SDSFIE topics, visit our training resources page at the URL listed here. Thank you for your interest in SDSFIE.